Okay, what if I told you that you could cut your watering time in half, completely banish weeds, and supercharge your soil's health, all with just one incredibly simple step? I know, it kind of sounds like a gardening myth, right? But it's totally real. So, are you ready to transform your garden with the absolute ultimate horticultural hack?
Welcome to this explainer. I am so excited to be jumping into this with you today. We're going to go through the ultimate masterclass on the science and the actual practice of mulching. Because whether you're just starting out or you've been gardening for years, we need to look at exactly how to mulch your garden and maybe even more importantly, what materials you should actually be using. So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, 1. Introduction to mulching. Then, 2. Benefits of mulching. 3. Types of mulch. 4. Choosing the right mulch. 5. A step-by-step guide. And finally, 6. Common mistakes to avoid. All right, let's dive right into section 1. Introduction to mulching, the protective skin of the soil.
Think about it. In nature, the earth rarely just leaves itself bare. Exposed soil is incredibly vulnerable to the harsh elements, the blazing sun, whipping wind, pounding rain. And that brings us right to our definition. Mulch is basically any natural or synthetic material spread on the soil surface to modify and protect the growing environment. I like to think of it as a protective barrier. When you leave soil exposed, the sun just bakes it, the moisture completely evaporates, and all those beneficial microbes, they die off. But by putting down a layer of mulch, you're essentially giving the earth a protective skin. You're creating this healthy, living ecosystem where roots and microbes can just thrive underneath. Honestly, it's the entire foundation of modern no-dig gardening.
Moving right along to section 2, the benefits of mulching, the science of soil health. Okay, we're skipping past the basic gardening claims here and looking at the actual thermodynamic and hydrodynamic mechanisms that make mulching a real game changer. Just look at that number, 70%. A proper layer of mulch acts as a physical barrier against direct solar radiation and wind. Because of that, it can literally reduce water evaporation from the soil by up to 70%. Put simply, your soil stays consistently moist. Your plant roots don't freak out from drought stress, and you spend way less time dragging a heavy hose around your yard. But it doesn't stop at saving water. There are some huge core benefits happening here. Mulch biologically suppresses weeds by just straight up blocking the sunlight that seeds need to germinate. No sun, no weeds. It also acts like incredible insulation, regulating the soil temperature. So in the summer, it keeps delicate roots nice and cool, and in the winter, it prevents frost heave. If you don't know what that is, it's when the freezing and thawing of soil physically pushes your plants right out of the ground. Plus, it stops erosion by softening the blow of heavy rain, which stops the soil from crusting over. And, huge bonus, if you're using organic materials, it slowly feeds the soil biome as it breaks down. So we know why it's great, but what should we actually use? Let's hit section 3, types of mulch explained, the Great Divide. There really is a great divide in the mulching world. And it basically comes down to 2 categories, living soil builders versus long-term barriers. On one side, we have organic mulch. We're talking mature compost, straw, wood chips, shredded leaves, even natural sheep's wool. These organic mulches decompose over time, adding absolutely incredible nutrients and structure to your soil. The only catch, you gotta replace them periodically. Now, on the other side, we have inorganic mulch. This is your gravel, river stones, black plastic, landscape fabric. These are super durable and they block weeds completely, but they offer zero nutritional value to the soil underneath. They don't break down, but they sure don't feed the earth either. Now that we know the players, we have to play matchmaker. Section 4, choosing the right mulch. Not all mulches are created equal, right? To get the absolute best results, you've got to strategically match the material to the specific plant and your overall garden goals. So let's break down a practical strategy. Fast-growing, super hungry veggies like tomatoes and peppers, they absolutely love nitrogen-rich organic mulches like compost or a thin layer of dried grass clippings. It gives them a fast nutrient release and stops soil from splashing up and causing fungal diseases on the leaves. What about strawberries? Well, the clue is literally in the name, straw. Straw or pine needles keep the fruit clean, dry, and out of the mud. Plus, pine needles add just a touch of acidity, which they love. Now, for your mature trees and shrubs, you want wood chips or bark. These are super high in carbon, they break down very slowly, and they perfectly mimic the natural forest floor. And hey, if you're starting a brand new no-dig bed right over your existing lawn, just lay down cardboard and cover it with compost. It smothers the grass while instantly building rich new topsoil. It's brilliant. Okay, you've picked your mulch. Let's get to work. Section 5, Step-by-Step Mulching Guide, the Execution. Doing this right is a simple, foolproof sequence, but if you skip a step, you're going to have major headaches later. First step, clear out any existing weeds, rocks, and debris, and lightly loosen that topsoil. Second, and actually this is absolutely crucial, water the bed thoroughly before you apply the mulch. Listen, if you put mulch over bone-dry soil, you're basically sealing dry earth underneath a waterproof barrier, and your plants will be begging for moisture. Don't do it. Third, spread an even layer about 2 to 3 inches deep. And finally, step 4, always keep the mulch 2 to 3 inches away from the actual stems or trunks of your plants. If it touches, you're inviting rot and disease right to the plant's front door.
And speaking of keeping mulch away from stems, that brings us to Section 6, Common Mistakes to Avoid, the Horticultural Horrors.
This is where we meet the villain of our story. Well-intentioned, but completely disastrous mulching practices, driven by what I like to call the grim mulcher. To really understand bad mulching, we can actually look to William Shakespeare. He wrote, "In many strokes, though with a little axe, hews down and fells the hardest timbered oak." It's a poetic metaphor, sure, but it hits the nail on the head for why bad mulching is so deceptive. It acts exactly like that little axe. See, bad mulching doesn't kill a tree overnight. Instead, it slowly, silently suffocates the tree over several years. People keep doing it because the damage isn't instant. But make no mistake, the damage is fatal. And guys, the biggest little axe of all is the mulch volcano. Please heed this warning. Piling mulch high up against a tree trunk is an absolute horticultural horror. Tree root cells have to acquire oxygen directly from the soil, so when you bury the trunk in this giant mountain of mulch, you literally trick the tree. Dormant buds in the bark start to panic, and they produce what are called adventitious roots. These roots grow upward into the mulch volcano, just desperately seeking oxygen. And as these secondary roots grow, they start to encircle the trunk. Eventually, they turn into stem-girdling roots, acting exactly like a tourniquet. They choke off the tree's vascular system until the canopy thins out and the tree dies. So please, keep the mulch flat and always leave breathing room around the trunk. Before we wrap up this explainer, just a quick evergreen heads up. Keep in mind that garden conditions, soil pH, and climates, they vary wildly depending on where you are in the world. It's always a smart move to chat with a local gardening expert or your agricultural extension office to get advice that's perfectly tailored to your specific microenvironment.
And that brings us to the end of our masterclass. I mean, just look at the incredible science we've covered today, right? From hydrodynamics to feeding soil biomes. So the only question left is, are you ready to transform your garden's ecosystem and let the mulch do the hard work for you? I really hope this explainer has empowered you with the knowledge to get out there, protect your soil, and build a thriving, totally self-sustaining garden. Thanks so much for learning with me.